So before we get started, just to get an idea of how many people are familiar with the show, so I'm just not talking about stuff you already know. People know Joan of Arcadia, have they seen it? You've seen episodes or basically just know what it is. People can just see hands of how many people have seen either the pilot or the show itself. Okay, great. All right, this is just going to have to sit behind me. Okay. So I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to talk about because, religion, the media, and TV, and whether or not it works, they can coexist is such a broad topic. And I thought about what I want to talk about in terms of how religion is depicted in the media right now also includes something that's really interesting what's going on right now in media. As everybody knows, there's a big writer's strike. And one of the big things that's going on is just the way that television is changing and the way its influence it's going to have on your life and why, And so the relationship between religion and media now is a lot different than it would have been, say, 10 years ago. One of the things that's changed about television and the reason we're having a strike and everything, and a lot of people don't know this, is that when television was first formed, it was government regulated. The idea was, okay, these images are going to be coming into people's houses, and so the government should really oversee that. We shouldn't leave that in the hands of private corporations because there's a certain responsibility. It's free, it's coming to your house. This should be a government-regulated industry. When Ronald Reagan was president, he deregulated the airwaves, and that caused something really huge to happen, which is what's going on now, which is why television is so different and we're on strike and all that kind of stuff, which is that now television works like private corporations because they're private corporations. And they are, when TV was a publicly overseen enterprise, there was a public trust, basically. The public trust was beholden to the people. It had to answer to what people wanted to see. There was kind of a dialogue between what was on television and the audience, the public. There's not that anymore because now it's a private corporation and they are beholden to their shareholders, and that's it. They are legally beholden to their shareholders to make as much money as they can. So that's how it works, and they own everything, and like any other corporation, they try to cut the cost down. It's bottom line organization, and so you want to pay everybody as little as possible, including writers, and you want to give them as little ownership of their product as you can. And so that's basically what's going on with the strike. So what happens now is television comes in your house, and it comes on your computer, and we are being bombarded constantly with images that are basically not overseen by anything other than capitalism. What you want to see is what's coming into your house. So people are going to put forth ideas about religion and politics and anything like that into your house. And what it's going to become, what we have to confront the possibility of is television, like what you have on your computer, becomes an authority. It becomes a voice of authority in your life. And the reason that I want to talk about that is because from reading the syllabus, the discussion is religion and media, and can they coexist? Well, first of all, what is religion? What are we, everybody's religion, the American approach to religion, the global concepts of religion, and what does that mean? Well, one of the things that's interesting that historians seem to think that we're living through right now is that we're going out of one age and into another. I mean, we can't really know that's true for another 100 years, but it feels a lot like we're coming out of either the industrial age or the age of enlightenment and going into another age. And that age seems to be, a lot of people think we're entering the technology age, but I don't think that's true because people don't know about their technology. They don't care about the technology. You don't know the inner workings of your computer. What you know is you have information. So we're entering the information age. To me, information becomes then your authority. A long time ago when people weren't so bombarded with information, didn't have any, in fact, before the printing press, the church was your authority because there was nowhere for you to go to learn anything about religion except going to the church and having the priests explain it to you. You couldn't read it. It's why in the Catholic Church they created the rosary to give people something to say and pray, and because they can't come up with their own concepts, they can't read. Gutenberg created the printing press, in large part because he was such a devout Catholic and he really wanted to get Scripture into the hands of people. But of course, what he was doing was giving them information which changed everything, because it actually led to the Protestant Reformation, which Gutenberg would not have wanted to happen. So it's really interesting. I think that now, because we're also subject to so much information all the time, we have to confront the possibility that it has become an authority for us, and as such, kind of a religion. Religion and authority is as an authority figure in your life. It's the thing that you run everything by, you know. And you know, Catholic, you know, when everybody was Catholic, every decision you made, every choice you made was run by that religion, and it really was an authority in your life. Then, you know, the Protestant Reformation, Puritanism, everything was run by that decision. But by that authority in your life. And so now, I feel like people always have authorities. The idea that we don't serve something is an illusion. You know, even for James Joyce and the whole "I will not serve" thing, you're serving that. You're serving that idea. If you're not serving a God, you're serving an idea. You're serving your intellect. A lot of people serve that. In the age of in the information age, which I think we're entering, I think it started with, I boil it down to NASA and penicillin. Okay, penicillin first. When penicillin said, we can fix anything, we're not going to have to die of mysterious diseases anymore. And then long after that, NASA said, and we're not constrained by being here. You know, technology was going to save us. And then it actually didn't. So it creates a lot of confusion for people, but there are still people who serve the idea of Western medicine, technology, intellect, you know, sort of pioneerism, new frontierism. But everybody serves some sort of concept. And so now we have to confront the fact that television comes into your home, it's bringing with it information. It's on your computer too. Sometimes it's on TV, sometimes it's on your computer. It's readily available. It comes from out there. It doesn't come from any sort of authority. It just comes into your home. And in television, we've added the extra problem of we blurred the lines with reality. So half of your shows are being called reality shows. The other half are being called scripted television. And the truth is, reality is almost as scripted as scripted television, but it's very confusing because now we're being sold conflicting concepts of reality. So bring into that the idea that we're going to then start sort of bombarding you with images of religion. I created a show called Joan of Arcadia that was based on the life of Joan of Arc. And all I wanted to do was modernize the story of Joan of Arc. And what I thought about was, well, if God were going to, if a teenager was going to have a calling like that, how would God talk to her? And I used to say this and people would laugh, but it was kind of true. I had a preteen daughter at the time, and I knew that if God was going to talk to her, he had to get her iPod off. You know, and it's sort of true, we're so bombarded with imagery, we have something in our ears, we have something in front of our faces every minute, and so the idea, Joan of Arc started having visions because she was out playing in the woods with her friends, and, you know, and this, I think she first was visited by, well, at first it was just a vision, then it was the Virgin, then it was turned into St. Catherine, St. Michael, those were her main communications in the other world, and started giving her messages, and the message, of course, was that she was to lead an army against British-occupied France and crown the Dauphin, who was the exiled prince at the time. And so she did that. Now, unlike a lot of saints, she's one of the earliest saints about whom we have really, really well-documented history of, because we have the court transcripts of her trial. She was, of course, tried and executed, not incidentally for hearing voices, because back then that was not so odd, you know, and people, that was just sort of a way of life. If you can imagine a time, it was, you know, people's religion was so, and people were so close to their spirituality and so close to the idea of metaphysics and there being another world behind your eyes, that wasn't odd at all for someone to say they heard voices.